take the 600 bud over and hook up to the air drill, bring it over to the shop so I can work on it. Make sure things are good to go. Pulled the air drill over with a 600 big bud, and as I was pulling up where I had the bud parked earlier, I noticed there was a puddle of oil right here on the dirt. And that is where the tires were parked. So then I was like, oh no, that doesn't look good. So I crawled underneath the big bud. And there's a puddle of oil coming out of the seal right where the axle is on the Planetaries. Yeah, that's not a good thing. I'm hoping it's just the seal that is bad and it's starting to leak. But it's a possibility that it could be more. So what I gotta do, I gotta take the drain plug out of the Planetary, pull oil out of it, see what it looks like, see if there's any silver stuff in there, metal filings. And I'll probably have to take the cover off on the side too to make sure. And if it looks like it's going to be fine, where there's no silver metal filings in it, then and the gears look fine, Planetary gears look good, then I'm going to put oil in it and we'll just run it, and it might just make a mess, and keep adding oil until we can get done with seating. Then we'll pull all that apart and we'll inspect the bearings and make sure it's all good. But we just got to be very careful not to tear up more things that yeah, could be bad, or it could just be a bad seal. But right now we're going to focus on getting my dad's drill going, the 5 1/4, and put the rollers in it and all that kind of good stuff. So now on this cart, we got to drop the manifold, and when we say manifold, it's that stainless steel ready tubing that we put on a few years back. We got to drop that down, take the covers off for the pans on the where these rollers go, put those in there, make sure everything looks good, put the manifold back up, and then run it to make sure all of the meters are running properly, and then go grab some seed and fertilizer and put it in there and calibrate it. Yeah, fun. We're going to take this out to the field and wing it out, check the depth, make sure it looks good so it's not seeding unevenly, because we thought maybe it was a little off the end of the seeding year, so, or the spring I should say. Alright, I'm going to grab a rag real quick. The reason why I'm grabbing a rag is we might have to unhook a couple hydraulic lines. They might not be in the correct order. Now we back the air drill up to the shop where the concrete's nice and level, so we can put the toolbar on the concrete, and we set it down so the points are just about to touch on the concrete. And then we look through the whole thing and see, all right, is there one side that's more higher or deeper than the other side? Then we can adjust it and get it to sit better. But so far, just barely looking at it, it's not too bad. For the most part. There's a few that are touching. The shanks could be bent a little bit, and there's a few that are a little higher off. I mean, it's hard to say exactly, but we'll go through and kind of get an idea. But as you can tell, well, there's a little bit of a gap there and not much in the back here. Now, the way that this thing works is as it gets in the ground, the front will actually dig down a little bit further, so the back, they'll be touching, the front won't on this point, but when it's in the ground, it's a little bit more level. right, that's not what I wanted to see. This bud's not going to be running. I got to locate some bearings, and I mean, if you look, I don't know if the camera's going to see, but there is tons and tons of glitter, metal filings everywhere. That does not look good.
Those look like brass.
Well, it's hard to tell with that oil, but
Yeah, they're definitely kind of gold looking.
it's not good. So we're gonna have to. I can't order anything yet until I pull everything apart. So I think what I'll have to have is the tires taken off, take that cover off, and then inspect inside and see what it looks like, and then we'll know more. But not good, not good. Well, that's a shame. All right, we're gonna be seeing with one bud, but if we can locate parts soon enough, it's possible we might be able to get this thing going, but I doubt it. Not good. Fun. It's always something. That sucks. It's not good. Ooh, that sucks. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm just going to let it drain out of there, make a mess there. But we're going to get the other tractor going, make sure that's good to go, and then we'll mess around with this thing. Huh. It is a shame. But that's what happens when you run like 50-year-old tractors. Anything man-made will fall apart. Maybe not right away sometimes, but it will. Ta-da! Okay, he ran the meters on the cart to make sure they spin before we put product in. And now we're gonna put the wheat, but we're gonna treat it here at the truck. So what we have going on is we got a treating unit on the side of the truck that you put your treat. It's got a line that comes up here with a little spray nozzle, and you stick it on the end of the auger. And as you put your wheat from the truck down in the auger, it sprays on it, and then it mixes it as it's going up into the cart. That way we get nice treated wheat. And then we'll just kind of figure out how much we want by somebody up here saying, all right, more treat, less treat. It's slightly pink, need more. It's pure red, need less. So, that's not bad. Probably a little too much. Trying to figure out how much we want to put on. He's down there messing with a mixture. That looks pretty good. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for pretty much a little bit of a pink slash a little bit of red on the kernels all the way across. We're not going to coat it like pure red. When you get it from the seed plants, they put a lot of treat on it because they want to make sure that they got a good job. And then they're covered. We just found that it's better just put a little bit of a pinkish color on it, so saves a little bit expenses and doesn't look too bad. All right, I'm happy with that. Now what he's doing is he's taking bags, putting it underneath the cart. On 3 tanks here, we need 3 bags. After you put them on, You go in the cab, you set the calibration mode, and then you run these, add product into the bags. You weigh the bag, you put that product number into the monitor, so that way it knows however many revolutions that this is making, it produces that many pounds of product. If you don't get that correctly, you can either put on way too little or way too much. So we kind of want to make sure that it's pretty much calibrated to whatever product we're putting in here. Like wheat, you'd think, oh, it's the same on anything. No, there's wheat that could be heavier, there's wheat that could be lighter. And to be determining, can't even talk. Depending on what quality wheat we have to actually calibrate every time to make sure that it's accurate. Does that make sense? Okay. Now you're probably looking on the ground, you're like, why is there stuff on the ground? We wanted to purge the system first to make sure that the rollers were full of product, and then that way when we start rolling it, it's already got product in it. So because if it starts rotating a couple rotations and there's nothing in there, it's gonna count that as how many pounds went in the bag. So we wanna make sure that those are full and ready to go. That little bit isn't gonna make or break on the ground. So right now he's in the monitor, he's getting it ready. Once he's ready to go, he'll give me the thumbs up, and then I'm gonna run the meters and count to like 40 seconds or so is a good roughly, that's a good starting point. And then each bag should be anywhere from like 13 pounds to maybe 20 pounds or so, depending on how heavy the product is. He just gave me the heads up, like, hey, you're good to go. So now right here, I've got 3 switches. This is the first tank, second tank, and third tank. I got all 3 on, and let's calibrate it. All right. Uh-oh, didn't get this bag on correctly. All right, now I'm gonna take them off and weigh them. Yeah, that's a little greasy. It was puking pretty bad. Not something we want to see. And I need some floor dry. Get some floor dry. Clean that up so I can make more of a mess. Oh, I need another 2 months just to keep things organized or get things organized and cleaned up, and you got to pick your battles. Sometimes you just have to work in a mess, and you get back at it later to finish a project. Other times you got to finish a project before you can start a new project. But on the life of a farm, you clean when you can, you organize when you can, but the main thing is you just got to keep things going. And that usually means it's gonna be a mess. Alrighty. How do I pull this thing apart? Assuming you take these bolts here out, planetaries must slide out. I've never done one of these before. Okay. That's what it looks like. I'll figure it out. I usually do. I also have some friends that have been down this road, so if I get to a point where I'm not really sure what to do, I can always call them and say, hey, how do you do it? Probably should just call them instead of figuring it out, but I'd hate to call them because they're probably busy trying to save the world, you know? All right, we have the planetaries out, and there's a little bit of, you can tell that there's been a little bit of material that's been squished into the gears and just a little tiny bit of roughness. But overall, I mean, it's not bad at all. I'd run it. I'm not concerned about that. The axle shaft feels pretty good. So now what I need to make sure is in here. I think we got lucky. I think we caught it just in time, because everything looks like it would be decent enough to run. I wouldn't worry about changing any of this stuff. So the next step I got to do is I got to take the two nuts here. So this is a jam nut. It stops the other one from moving. There's a little tab here. You bend over, loosen that nut up, and then you take that keeper off. Then you get the next nut, take that one off, and then this here should, by rights, come right off. And then you can see the bearings. And cool. You guys got to see this. All right, I'm going to grab a pick. I want to show you guys what was causing that seal to fail. I mean, just the seal. That's all I was failing. See that? That is all metal chunks. Tiny itty bitty metal chunks. Yeah. And right here. Oh yeah. Yeah, bearings are shot. Oh yeah, they are. That's crazy. This stuff is super, super fine. Like, really cool glitter. I mean, it might go pretty well. Nah, it's not my thing. All right, I'm gonna call it quits because I've got other things I got to do. But the nice thing is I'm not worried about any of the planetary gears or any of the splines or any of that kind of stuff. It all looks really good for considering on what it could have been. If we would have just added oil and just kept running it, we would have had more problems. So it's just bearings. They're just toast. And I'll pull them apart, get part numbers, call some friends, and see what we can come up with. Yeah. Other than that, 3 things. 2 bearings, and then a seal. And I think we should be good to go. After pulling it apart, I got the seal, and I got one of the bearings. And if you look, it's pretty chewed up. Yeah, the bearings are just shot. Now this one here, because I got to get all the numbers off of them, I need to remove this bearing. So what I'm going to do is cut the edge right here, peel it open a little bit, and pull all of these rollers out. Then I'm going to take the torch and I'll heat up that ring so that it'll expand, and then the ring should fall off. And on the back side of that ring is the numbers that I need. So that's what I got to do. We're going to quickly grind that, peel them off, and then grab the torch, heat it up. So yeah, that's what we got to do. This is the cage to hold all the roller bearings in, and this is most likely a press fit, so use a press to shove it on there. And what I'll end up doing is when I get the new bearing, I'll take this right here, cut it open so it's kind of flexible, and I'll use this one to press the new bearing on when I get the bearing. But right now I don't want to cut it, I don't want to damage it, because if wherever I cut, most likely that's where the numbers are going to be, and I don't want to do that. You got to think about, you got to think ahead so you don't screw it up more so. Because right now these tractors are Moses tractors, and trying to find parts for them, they're getting harder and harder to find parts, so you don't want to screw up part numbers. I'm going to lay it down like this, and then I'll take the torch, run around and heat it up.
Do you think you could grab this and slowly rotate it while I heat on it?
Okay. Well, that's a good feeling to have those things off. We got good numbers. They're not scratched up. They're not banged up. But yeah, isn't that something? I bet you these things are cheap. I bet you this. They're probably. I wouldn't doubt anywhere from. Could be $500 a piece for bearings. And the seal could be probably $200. I don't know. Could be more than that. Hard to say how much they're going to cost. But you also need to have. There's a wear ring right here on the axle itself for the sleeve or the seal. That's going to need to be removed as well, and the best way to remove that, same method, use heat, take a torch, run around it, and just slowly heat it up, and then you can peel it right off. Or there's another method you can do. You can take a chisel and you can pound on it in different ways, and what it does is it'll actually expand it a little bit as you pound on it, and then you might be able to pop it off. Now, as far as numbers, I doubt that thing's got numbers. Doubt it. The numbers should be on the seal. And if there was numbers on there, they would have it on the inside, which would be a bad place because, well, you can scratch it up and move it. So chances are it's a seal where it's at. But this bud ain't moving for a while until we find some bearings and a seal. Yeah. I've got some cleaning to do. I like to make a mess. But you gotta make a mess to get stuff done. So. All right, let's move on to the next thing.